Hey, what's going on? Luke here. For today's video, we're going to be talking about the whole Adam Reynolds situation at the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Now, earlier on in the year, it was talked about Adam Reynolds wanting a 5-year contract. I'm pretty sure it was a 5-year contract. The Rabbitohs obviously didn't go for it. They were more after a 1-year contract, and Adam Reynolds definitely wasn't after that. He came out and he said he thinks he's got a couple of years left in him, 3 to 4 years to be exact, I think is what he said. So it does make sense that he wants a long-term contract. The Rabbitohs are not willing to budge though, and that's what it's coming down to. The Rabbitohs are just not budging at all. They're not budging full stop. They've even offered him a 1-year deal, and he's went, oh, how about 2? And they've went, a 1-year deal and a year in the club's favour. So basically they've just said, stuff you, Adam Reynolds. I don't care what you've done for the club. I don't care you coming through our ranks and turning down offers to go to elsewhere. You know what? They've pretty much told Adam Reynolds that he can just get f***ed. Well, at least that's how I've taken it, and I think a lot of the other fans in the NRL have taken it as well. Probably Rabbitohs fans, you're probably sitting here watching this video, and you're probably outraged that Adam Reynolds is being told to look elsewhere, pretty much. They haven't actually come out and said, look elsewhere, but they're not giving him any other choice. He's been so loyal to the club. He's been such a good servant to the club. And even I've talked about in the past, I've sat there and I've said Adam Reynolds maybe a bit injury prone, look, he's getting into the back end of his career. But when you actually look at the stats, he hasn't really been injury prone. He's had a couple of injuries here and there, but for the most part, he's playing majority of the games for the Rabbitohs. And you look at the Rabbitohs side and you see all the guys that they've re-signed. Obviously, something's going to give. They've got a really good side. They've got a lot of guys who are either coming off contract or have just signed huge contracts. So someone's going to leave. You'd have to imagine when you've got a spine of Latrell Mitchell, Cody Walker, Adam Reynolds, and Damien Cook. I mean, you've got all pretty much, international sort of quality players. I know not all of them are playing international, but they're at least state of origin caliber. So someone has to leave, and obviously at the moment you've got Cody Walker, who's probably a front runner to be the 5'8" for New South Wales. He's at least in the mix. He was there last year. You got Latrell Mitchell, who's probably a great prospect in terms of getting back into that New South Wales side, and definitely one of the form players of the whole comp. Then you got Damien Cook, who is the Australian and New South Wales hooker. So look, Adam Reynolds, I guess he's kind of the odd one out in the sense that he's not the one who's being actively talked about for State of Origin. However, that doesn't mean he's a bad halfback. Look, Cooper Cronk came out and he talked about Adam Reynolds' inability to lead the team to a grand final and a grand final win, but at the same time, he's not the only player. If you're going to use that logic, you got to look at Cody Walker. You got to look at your Latrell Mitchells and your Damien Cooks. Maybe not Latrell because he hasn't been there that long, but Damien Cook's in the same boat. Cody Walker's definitely in the same boat. So you've got to be fair to everybody. You can't just single out Adam Reynolds. Despite him playing halfback, I guess he's going to be the one who's going to have the most eyes on him in the sense that he's the one leading the side. But if you got other guys like Damien Cook, who is literally playing for Australia, Cody Walker, who keeps getting picked for the New South Wales side, there's also got to be question marks put in them. And even with Cody Walker, he's someone who, when the pressure's been on, he hasn't stepped up. We've seen Adam Reynolds win a premiership. We've seen him win games. We've also seen him goal kick in high pressure situations. And I think that's something that teams don't really look at either. It's the fact that Adam Reynolds he's a sharpshooter. He's so good with the boot. Just in terms of general kicking play, he's very good. But also in terms of goal kicking, it's so valuable to a team. And I feel like teams fail to recognise that. So essentially, like, who are the Rabbitohs going to chuck in there? They got Latrell Mitchell, who's a pretty decent goal kicker. But Adam Reynolds, he's been the goal kicker from literally like 2012 onwards. He's literally been there, smashing them from the sideline every single week. So look, every time that they scored a try, they weren't going up by 4s, they're going up by 6s. It's something as a Bulldogs fan, I got accustomed to growing up watching Hasmel Mazarian. Even if you're a longer Bulldogs fan than me, Darryl Halligan before that, you had guys who were just smashing them over no matter what. So you're going up by 6s, it's so effective. You can literally score less tries and win games still, just purely through good goal kicking. And that's what a lot of teams don't have. And I think that's what makes Adam Reynolds so valuable, is the fact that he's got such a great kicking game, his defence is pretty sharp, and he goal kicks as well. So he's obviously got to add a lot to a side. And the fact that the Rabbitohs they're not even willing to budge on their offer. Even if they gave him 2 years, 3 years, just give him a longer deal than 1 year. Like, it actually pains me to see them being this petty. They've had so many players in the past. You had your Greg Inglis's and Sam Burgess and stuff who've been around and they've medically retired them. And we've had, obviously, the whole Greg Inglis situation where he's come back out and played. And we've seen with Sam Burgess how they covered up a lot of stuff. And then you've had a guy like Adam Reynolds who's been virtually a clean skin, despite all the tattoos, a clean skin in the sense that he's not got in any trouble. Literally, try and find a scandal with Adam Reynolds. Try and find something where he said something wrong in the media or did something wrong on the field in terms of grabby stuff. You literally can't. He literally has not done anything, and yet he's being kicked to the curb and tossed aside as if he's just any other player. This isn't any other player. This is a Rabbitohs player through and through. Kind of reminds me of the Bulldogs when they got rid of Josh Reynolds. Look, Josh Reynolds obviously a different situation. Obviously got the same last name, but a different situation in the sense that he was the old one out. You had Moses Mbai there, who was the young up-and-comer. You had Trent Hawkinson there, who was sort of the game manager, and they wanted to go with Mbai and Hawkinson. Obviously, it didn't really work out. But in those circumstances, it didn't make sense to have a third choice sort of half who's just coming on and playing a bit off the bench, just have him sitting around in reserve grade on big money, chewing up big corner of your salary cap. That part didn't make sense. For me, what doesn't make sense for the Rabbitohs is you've had a guy who's been so loyal and you're not rewarding that. You know, players and clubs, they always talk about loyalty and all that sort of stuff. And the players come out and say clubs have no loyalty to players, and clubs come out and say players have no loyalty to clubs. Now, this is a perfect situation of Adam Reynolds being super loyal to clubs. You can't tell me he wouldn't have had ample opportunities to go to other clubs and probably sign huge contracts, and he would have taken unders to stay at the Rabbitohs. And this isn't even a situation of a guy playing past his peak and playing on for way too long. There's been times when you see players, Darius Boyd's probably a perfect example, where you're like, yeah, he probably should have retired a couple of years ago. Adam Reynolds is not in that same category. He's still in the prime of his career. He's like early 30s. I think he's 30 or 31. That is not a time when players retire. If you're going to use that logic, Cody Walker's about the same age too. So you'd have to apply it to that too. And obviously they're not going to because it's not relevant. However, as soon as it gets to Adam Reynolds, it's, oh, well, we can't offer him more than 1 year. I don't understand. I really just don't understand that, and I can't wrap my head around it. And no matter how much I'm talking here, I just can't wrap my head around it. And a lot of times I go on, I sit down, and I start talking about these topics of certain things, and halfway through the video, I'm starting to go, oh, you know, I'm kind of making some sense of this one, but this one isn't it. Even in terms of Adam Reynolds, though, I feel like it's going to look so weird to see him in another jersey, because that's what it's looking like it's going to happen. I feel like he's got really no choice other than to leave the Rabbitohs at this point. And even in terms of the Rabbitohs, Wayne Bennett's leaving this year. You've got an aging sort of spine. I feel like should Adam Reynolds actually leave, I feel like they're actually going to be in a lot of trouble going forward, because you've got Cody Walker there, who's never really played without a controlling half. Same with Damien Cook. Damien Cook looks good, but he looks good in stages. He's never been a guy who's been consistently just one of the best players. He goes in and he has his spurts where he'll play outstanding, and then he'll go into a bit of a slump, and especially around finals time is when it seems to happen. Same with Cody Walker. They have those absolute purple patches where they're going crazy good. But who's there when they're not in those purple patches? Adam Reynolds. He's there to get them out of trouble. When the game's not free-flowing and the offloads aren't coming out and Cody Walker isn't running through the gaps and Damien Cook's not running, the one person they rely on is Adam Reynolds to just game manage this situation and kick to the corners and just get them through the game and get them the win. You're not always going to have games where Latrell Mitchell's going to be able to just grab the ball and just run straight through a gap. It's just not going to happen, especially against those really good sides, especially against the sides like Penrith. And I think that's a situation where Adam Reynolds is so valuable, and it just blows my mind that they aren't trying to re-sign him, especially with Wayne Bennett not being there. We've seen Wayne Bennett, he's able to get the best out of his players. So if you've got Wayne Bennett going, who's your coach and the motivator of the side, the tactician of the side, and you bring in a new coach, you're also getting rid of your halfback too. What does that say about the Rabbitohs? How are they going to go in the next couple of years? Because I feel like that's something that's going to be so detrimental to them. And they've also got guys like Cody Walker and Damien Cook and all that who can't afford to sit around for another 2 to 3 years trying to win a premiership. They need to win it now. So obviously they've got a chance this year. But if it doesn't happen this year and Adam Reynolds goes, that's the Rabbitohs done for like the next 3 or 4 years, because I don't think it's going to happen. They need Adam Reynolds there to win a premiership, and they're risking it all just to save a couple bucks. Now, I feel like Adam Reynolds is the sort of player that you keep and you sort of offload some of the other fringe sort of players. I'm sure there's plenty of other guys that are on the bench and maybe could go to another club and have a lot more money, but you do whatever you do to keep Adam Reynolds. The spine that they've got is a good enough spine to win the premiership, and you keep it at all costs. You just have to. You don't see teams like the Roosters and all that losing players. Obviously, they lost Crump because he retired. That's a different situation, but they didn't actively let him go. And we've also seen how hard it was for them to actually replace Cooper Cronk. We saw them try Kyle Flanagan. He lasted a year. They punted him. We've seen Sam Walker step in now. He's looking pretty good. There's Lachlan Lamb, Drew Hutchison, but they're still looking for a replacement a couple years on. And I feel like for the Rabbitohs, Adam Reynolds would have the same effect. Now, in terms of him going to another club, plenty of suitors out there. There's so many teams you could do with a halfback. Can do with someone who can just game manage as well as him. Like I said, goal kicking is a great attribute to have. And also just the kicking game in general is so valuable. Good defense, just a good player in general. And he's also been around for a long time, so he's got experience. He's played for New South Wales. He's won a premiership. He's really done it all except for play for Australia. So in terms of Adam Reynolds getting a contract elsewhere, I don't think he'll have any troubles. I think he'll sign a huge contract at some other team. Could even be Super League. Who really knows? Maybe he's going to be that loyal and he won't play for any team other than the Rabbitohs. Who really knows at this point? But look, the whole Adam Reynolds situation, it's really soured me on the Rabbitohs. I feel like the Rabbitohs, as a club, have generally handled lots of situations pretty well in terms of, medically retired players, and even the whole John Sutton situation. They've always handled stuff happening with their players, like retirements and contracts and all that sort of stuff. They've always handled it pretty well, but this just isn't it, Rabbitohs. I don't know what you're doing. And I feel like every fan in the NRL doesn't want to see Adam Reynolds leave the Rabbitohs, despite how good of a player he is. Like, if he came to the Bulldogs, I'd be absolutely wrapped. But I don't want to see him leave the Rabbitohs. I feel like he's Rabbitohs through and through, and he should be there till the end. We always talk about one club players and there being a lack of them. Adam Reynolds, he was primed to be that. He was primed to be a one club player, and it looks like it's not going to happen. Leave in the comment section below, what are your thoughts of this whole Adam Reynolds situation? Because I've had my say on it. I want to hear your say. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree? Do you think the Rabbitohs are in the wrong? Surely people think the Rabbitohs are in the wrong. I can't be in the wrong here. I feel like I'm not in the minority here. Adam Reynolds definitely deserves better. And look, wherever he goes, I'm sure he'll be treated greatly, but he should be at the Rabbitohs for the rest of his career, whether that's 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, however long it is. I just think we should see Adam Reynolds at the Rabbitohs. Anyways, I'm going to wrap up this video. I'm rambling on now. Thank you for watching. If you happen to enjoy it, make sure you go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Also, turn on the notification bell. It's super important in terms of you actually being notified and actually seeing the video, because the sub boxes, they're pretty dodgy. So go ahead, turn the notification bell, do all that sort of stuff. Give me a follow on social media. It's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke and YT. My Facebook is just Mr. Luke, but everything else is Mr. Luke and YT, as you can see on the screen. So go ahead, give me a follow, give me a like, give me an ad, do all that sort of stuff. But that's where I'm going to end this video. Stay tuned for more content on the channel, and I'll see you next time. See yous!